Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast for Villa AM. And today we're going to talk about the midfield. And you know what? It's an area that I've kind of been looking forward to talking to. Whoa, it's a bit of a crowded room there. And I suppose really we should be kind of glad that it's a bit of a crowded room, because it's been a room that's been decimated with injury and absence, I think. And if I've called this episode Midfield is like an episode of the Highlander. And the reason that I've done that is because we'd be pretty screwed without Captain Fantastic John McGinn for lots and lots of reasons. He, like the one thing I admire so much about John McGinn is his longevity and his availability he's had for Aston Villa. Outside of maybe I think I can remember one bad injury that he had, potentially two. He's been an ever present. But we'll get on to John McGinn in a moment, because I do want to lavish praise on him as one of the catalysts for the reason that we've had this mini upturn in our fortunes over the last three or four games. But the big thing here is the continuing get a player back, lose a player to injury or suspension, or the personal issues that we've seen within this midfield area. It was an area that was a bit clunky at the start of the season. And we'll talk about Youri Tielemans, I suppose. Firstly, this year hasn't been a fantastic start for a man who was by far and away our best player last season, and a real talisman for this team. And I cannot wait to have him back. When we will have him back, I do not know. But please come back soon, Mr. Tielemans. But I think starting him in the 10 position at the start of the year, I could see the method behind the madness, but it seemed to kind of discombobulate quite a lot of other areas in the field. And Unai Emery is searching for that number 10. So I can completely understand why you would put somebody who's as creative, who's able to spot a pass like Youri Tielemans, and somebody who's able to score a goal as well like Youri Tielemans, into that number 10 position. He's been a huge miss for us since he's been out, in a lot of ways, from his his metronomic ability at that as a passer, his slide rule balls, his ability to play triangles and stuff like that. He's just a very technically sound footballer, and I'm looking forward to getting him back into this team. But alas, we have missed Youri Tielemans. Likewise, we've missed the £50 million man Amadou Onana as well through injury. Another person who needs to really kind of get a run of games, and not even a run of games, just a run of availability for Aston Villa. It's not been the most, how will I say? It's not been the most, it's been pretty frustrating for him, I think, since he's come into Aston Villa with injuries and not being able to get a run in the team. We know he can play the game of football. He scored a couple of goals last year, and he's somebody that I think there's going to be quite a lot of spotlights on him over the course of the next year to see how he does cope with injuries, and to see if he can force his way into this team. I have not obviously given up hope on Amadou Onana. I think people would be silly to do that, because he's a very, very talented footballer. It's where he can build his and cement his place within this team. That's going to be the interesting part. And maybe, just maybe, we don't rule out him in the number 10 position between now and the end of the season as well. Boubacar Kamara, somebody who has, obviously another talismanic player within this team. I think he would get into any football team in the Premier League currently for his abilities in number 6, working his way back from some slight injuries, got back into the team, and he's going to be a mainstay hopefully between now and the end of the season. Just a really fabulous footballer. I don't really need to wax too much lyrically about Boubacar Kamara, but when he's in the team, he elevates everybody else. The ground he covers, the ability to go in between the back two to create a back three. His ability to pass the ball is very underrated as well. So Boubacar Kamara, very, very lucky to have him. Ross Barkley, look, he has ability in his legs. Didn't have the greatest off season, was partying a small bit or whatever. I don't know what the situation is with Ross Barkley, but some personal issues have kept him out of the team. Don't really have much to say on him other than, as a depth piece, you would certainly keep somebody like Ross Barkley around. But I suppose, it all comes down to his availability again, and maybe 2025 might be maybe even in January 2025, maybe he might want to go and play football somewhere else, and we will see what the future holds for him with regards to the rest of his playing career. And then Lamar Bogart, I've purposely kind of kept him because the youthful exuberance who's come into this team, somebody who's really kind of making his way in the game of football, but doing it in all the right ways. Had a fantastic game against Burnley. Had a fantastic game. He's had good instances when he's come on and played in games this season as well. And people are talking about potentially himself and Kamara forming that pivot at the number sixes, and it will be interesting to see how much he learns and how his game develops from playing with and beside the likes of Boubacar Kamara. But I think really the big talking point for midfield is the Highlander himself. There can only be one, and that is John McGinn from the clan McGinn. He's been a captain, fantastic. He's been a leader, and this guy, the thing that I love about John McGinn that goes really under the radar is that John McGinn played 15 games. He played he played he played nearly 1,400 minutes as a 17-year-old for St. Mirren, and every single season he's played over 2,500 minutes in his career since then, and that is bonkers. This man has been putting in performances week in, week out, game in, game out at various different levels, between playing in the Scottish Premier League, the Scottish Championship, the Scottish Premiership, then moving on then to play with Aston Villa in the Championship, the Premier League, on to the Champions League. This man is part of the fabric of Aston Villa, I think, now. And the way he started this season was tepid, like the rest of Aston Villa Football Club. But the way he's turned into a captain and dragged this team up with his goals, he's gotten 3 goals this season already. He's gotten 1 assist, and he's just had some real captain's performances, or come up clutch in captain's moments. And I want to say that, John McGinn has held this midfield together through the uncertainty that the injuries have shown throughout the course of this season. As I say here, he's played 10 games. He's already racked up 841 minutes. When he's been on the field, we've conceded 6 goals, but we've scored 10 goals. He's 100% tackle win rate, 79.5% pass completion rate. But the big thing that you'll see that I want to point out from John McGinn is we're seeing again, like in the absence of other players, we're seeing him step into roles that he hasn't needed really to occupy. And what I mean by that is that currently he's on 34 progressive passes already. So getting that ball forward, moving it forward. He's done that from the 6th position. He's done that from the right wing. He's done that from the 10 position. And really the Swiss Army knife ability that John McGinn has, coupled with his captain's performances and some of the goals that he's got. I know I'm speaking very highly of him and speaking in a potentially hyperbolic way, but genuinely Aston Villa's season would not have gotten off the ground if it wasn't for integral moments that John McGinn has been part of. And again, you only have to go back and look at games past to see that he's the man for the big day. You look back against Paris Saint-Germain last year, just absolutely dragged us up off the floor in that second leg. John McGinn can do it when the chips are down. He's got steel and metal like coming out of every orifice at times. I have been critical of leadership from players, and I think John McGinn, is one of these leaders by doing. It's shown since he's been 17 years of age. He's been trusted to be in men's football. He's been trusted to play so many minutes and being integral in three different teams now, through 3 different levels. And John McGinn, as I say, has really been, I won't say savior, but he's been a very he has been a catalyst for an awful lot of the good that's happened at Aston Villa so far this season, and hopefully we'll be a catalyst again in the coming weeks, as we've got quite a lot of tough games to play. And looking again here at some of his statistics versus the midfielders in European football, you look at the top there with regards to his shooting, his scoring, and his shot creating action ability. He's been really creative this year. He's obviously gotten those goals that he scored already. But even when you come down and you look at the passing statistics here as well, the progressive statistics, I suppose we'll talk about, the touches in the penalty area, the successful take-ons, the progressive passes received, and the progressive passes made as well, that looks quite low here, but it's increased within this team. He stepped into that role when Yuri Tielemans has been out. He stepped into that role slightly as well last year when Douglas Luiz was sold. So this man is morphing every single year. You might as well call him Mighty Morphin John McGinn at this moment in time, because there isn't a role that he can't play. There isn't a role that he can't adapt to, should I say. Does he play it at world-class standard every single time? No, he doesn't. But this man he's good. Like he always delivers when he's given time to adapt to a certain situation. And yeah, as I said, John McGinn so far this season has been has been something that everything good has flowed through, or the good things have came from his performances, his influence, and his ability on the field as well. So, midfield is by all means not an untold story. That's why I've said midfield story here. It's been a story of injury and absence. But I think really it's the good thing about this is that there has to be a chapter 2 and a chapter 3 and a chapter 4 of this story. And that can only mean good things, because options in midfield are good. Options in midfield breed competition. Options in midfield also allow people like John McGinn, who've already got 841 minutes under his belt, to get time off the field, recover, recuperate, because Father Time is undefeated. And somebody like John McGinn at 30, going on 31 years of age, he'll go forever. He's like an Energizer bunny. But you have to sometimes do the right thing, and potentially at times maybe protect him from himself from burnout and from overplaying. So it will be nice when we get Tielemans, when we get Amadou Onana, and potentially Ross Barkley back as well into this team. Would be nice for that. So thanks so much, everybody, for your time. And also thanks a million for all your kind words about Villa AM. We will see you again very, very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy. And all that's left to say is up the...
It's Villa in the morning with Villa AM. It's Villa in the morning with Villa AM.